Very much for the lovely introduction. I was smiling before because you said the elephant in the room. When we're talking about meetings, not a lot of people want to have them, And I feel like a lot of times there's a question, could that be an email instead of a meeting? Like, could I just get out of this? So I'm really happy to be here on stage with David. It's actually the second time that we meet on stage.
Yep.
We met first time at Web Summit in November, so it's amazing to have this conversation and see where the company is at the moment. So my name is Elena Poughia. I'm the CEO and founder of Dataconomy. It's a media platform that specifically focuses on data and AI as a topic. And David here has an impressive CV so far. He already had an exited company to that was exited to Snapchat, exactly. He started this company in 2021. He already raised 81 million on a 450 million valuation. And right now it's really growing, and it's exactly the right thing. We're talking about the future of work. We just talked before about physical AI and what that means for robots, like how that would be integrated into the workflow. But now let's look at about meetings.
Yes.
What does that mean when it comes to like meetings? How can we actually take those meetings and benefit from them, like the transcripts, like all this, like would we be able to like get out of it, like get something out of it? So without further ado, you also mentioned to me that you have a lot of news. One big news is that you managed to integrate Read AI with ChatGPT and with Claude,
yes,
which is amazing. What does that mean for everybody who works with those tools?
I think it means just one less thing to add on to your technology stack. So now you can go into Claude Cowork, you can go to ChatGPT and ask things like, hey, what were the follow-ups associated with this meeting? Can you actually check in on this action item? Was this actually delivered? Can you actually help me create a deck related to the conversation and all the files that we have? So we're able to do that ourselves, but we said, we want to work wherever anybody else works in the physical world or the digital world. And for us, it was really like, hey, ChatGPT and Claude are one of the most adopted platforms in the marketplace, and it made a lot of sense for us. And the way that I think about it here is like, you've got all these people in the meeting here, you've got people that are students, you've got engineers here, you've got business people, salespeople, et cetera. Right now, we're all skipping our meetings. We're not at work right now, we're technically here. And so you could actually send your agents out to go to those meetings on your behalf now. So you don't actually have to worry about not joining a meeting. You don't have to run outside and go in and say, hey, I need to take a call real quick, because your agent can join the call. That agent goes in and takes the notes, takes the summary, and then it pushes it into Claude or OpenAI and lets you continue your work from there.
Wow, okay, so how that changes the 9 to 5, does that mean that we don't have to work anymore 9 to 5? Does that mean that we can just like, go and see the summary of those meetings? Do that means that like, AIs will be talking with each other and they will be figuring out things and then come back to us and tell us, okay, based on, I don't know, Elena's AI, like this is the key deliverables and that's what you need to do next?
Right now, the easiest way to use it in terms of time shifting is, I'm here in Europe, my team's back in the United States. They're actually scheduling meetings, follow-ups with my AI. So they're interacting with it, because when I'm asleep, they're just starting work. And so you have that disconnect. And what typically would happen today would be like, I see the email, I say, hey, how about let's meet 3 or 4 days from now? Because then they'll respond back to me, and then I'll get the email, and I'll confirm the time. And there's a lot of things that change during that time. Now we have an AI assistant called Ada that anybody could use, and it will go in and schedule meetings based on when is the best time for you to meet, and then it will look at the other people's availability. And what we're starting to see is that the adoption is like, Ada will start to talk to itself and actually schedule meetings on behalf of 2 or 3 people, and automatically within 2 seconds, the meeting is done, it's already set, you've got it on your calendar, and that's really about streamlining that process. Also, while I'm out of the office, the team can actually email Ada on my behalf and say, hey, what would David think about this spend associated with Facebook and Google? Would he approve it? And Ada will actually go in and say, yeah, I totally approve it. This looks good. Go for it. Or if it's really sensitive, it'll check in with me and send me an email and say, hey, here's what I would respond back. Is this okay? And I just say yes, and it sends it out.
We are in Europe, and you just said the magic word, sensitive data. We are very strict when it comes to data protection here. So how, like, when I have those meetings, how can I differentiate what needs to be transcribed and what shouldn't be transcribed, and how can I make sure that everything is under the data protection law and compliance?
100%. So we're GDPR compliant. So where we really focused in around was giving people notification when we're in the call. So when we join the call on Microsoft Teams, Google Meet, Zoom, we will actually join in as a participant on the call. So everybody knows that AI is on the call. We're not trying to hide it. We're not running it on the desktop. So we'll join the call, and then we'll let anybody opt out. So if you type in opt out in the conversation, it will actually delete all the data associated with the meeting, even in the final minute, and it will remove that. So very few people do that, but let's say you say something sensitive that you don't want to share that information, you can type in opt out and it will leave that call. So we're very much about opt-in, consent, and being transparent for individual users from a GDPR perspective. With that said, I will also say the Europeans are actually interacting with ADA more than anybody else. So when we looked at ADA usage across the board, US, let's say, is 1, Europe is 2, and so it's double. And what we see is Europeans are actually using it to say, like, hey, I'm out of office. I don't want you to interrupt my day. I want you to go in and schedule these things, do the follow-ups. I've got customers in the US. I don't want to interact with them when I'm outside of the office hours, when I'm asleep. And they're actually adopting it at a much higher rate, which is very surprising to us.
Okay, so basically that's what works for us, for the Europeans. We really want to have our time when we're off to really be off. You also mentioned to me that you've seen a specific adoption here in Europe of your digital twin more than in other locations. Is that true, or is it just across abroad that you have now 2x of a digital twin adoption?
Oh no, we're seeing growth very heavily in Europe. So over half of our users are outside of the US. So we're actually a very international company. We're the #1 meeting note taker in Brazil, Colombia. In Europe, Greece has actually increased by 200% year over year in the number of meetings that we measure. So that's been huge. And our increase in actual users has been about 100%. So you might say, why is that so different? What that's saying is that the Greek community is actually using the app more and more, sending it into more meetings on behalf of themselves. So it's actually getting more data, and it's actually streamlining their workflow.
What does it mean when you say like on behalf? So essentially the AI comes in and talks and they says, hey, I'm Ada, I don't know, David couldn't make it to the call, you know, these are the topics. So like it interacts like me, or it interacts like Ada?
When you email it, it interacts like you, so it will go in and say, I'm David's AI assistant, how can I help you? When it's on the call itself, it actually is more silent. It'll just say, hey, I'm on the call, David asked me to join. If it's okay, let me know. If it's not okay, I'll leave the meeting, and you say opt out.
Gotcha. So one of the main things that we also discussed when we were first on stage together at Web Summit was the reduction of the Monday blues. You said that this is something that you've noticed, that people actually go to work happy. Is that like more of a cultural shift, or what does it relate to, like more restful time that you can really be off?
Yeah.
How can that happen?
So if you think about it here in Europe, you've got customers in Asia, you've got customers in the US. They're emailing you at all times. So your Friday is still Friday, end of Friday is Friday morning in the US. They're sending emails out. Asia wakes up early. They send you a bunch of emails. They send you requests coming in. When you get back to the office on Monday, when you turn on your laptop and you check your work email, you're sad because you're kind of like, look, I have 400 emails that I have to follow up on. I have to actually check in on this. Oh, I have all these things to do. So people are generally like down on Mondays. They don't like working on Mondays because they have to play catch up. What Ada is actually doing is cleaning things up. It's going in and saying like, hey, I'm going to continue that conversation. Hey, the agent went into that meeting on Friday on Seattle time, and it actually got me all the notes. So I don't actually have to follow up on different things. So that ability to kind of close that loop to say, I'm working 24/7 on the AI side, but then when it's you, it lets you go in and relax. It lets you go in and enjoy your weekend.
Okay, that's amazing. That's, I think, what everybody wants. One other thing that you mentioned to me, which is also like the big elephant in the room, like everybody's worried that AI will take our jobs, right?
Yes.
And I mean, when you tell me exactly what AI or like what AI can do, it sounds pretty much like potentially my job, right? So, but you mentioned that actually one of the good things that you've seen so far is that you have a 40% improvement on the onboarding process.
Yes.
So that means that it's easier for people to get recruited and actually onboarded. So walk me through a little bit about this.
Yeah, so imagine you have a manager and they train you. They're only going to be able to train you from 9 to 5 o'clock when they're available, when they don't have meetings. So if someone's early in their career and they actually have to rely on the manager to understand their work, understand processes, it really is a long onboarding time. What we found was one company went in, Candlefish, and they said, hey, what we're going to do is we're going to take all the managers and all the onboarding conversations that we have, all those meetings that we have, we're going to centralize it on Read. And now we can actually go in and build a training process that goes in and says, let me take 40 different managers, create an onboarding document, and then if anybody actually has any question, they can actually ask the AI and go in and say, hey, what is my retirement plan benefits? What days do we have off? And those are things that a new employee might be afraid to say. But then it goes to a step further to say, hey, I want to reply back to this client, but I'm not sure if I'm doing it the right way. Now the AI can go in and say, no, this is not the approved format that we do it in. This is how you should word it. You shouldn't say hey, you should say hi. You want to make sure that it's in bullet points versus it's a long format. It will go in and correct, and it's great for individuals too, because if you're early in your career, you're worried about looking bad. You're worried about like, I look inexperienced, I'm going to make mistakes. Now the AI is just going in and saying, hey, this is how you should do it better. This is how you improve, and you're more open to actually work with that AI to actually figure out what's next.
And this essentially also improves like not only the process, but hiring more or less experienced people, right? Because that, again, that's part of the fear that now you're going to be slowing down when it comes to recruiting more junior people, but that's not the case because now you can do it faster and they can be onboarded faster.
100%.
How do you tell that story to the skeptics? Because I could also argue, well, why? You know?
So I think one is you show them. So what we've done really well at Read AI is the first meeting you have, the first interaction with Ada that you have, you see value. So when we are able to go in and show, hey, there's a new person that's coming on board, you can ask this AI assistant any questions that you want to, and it's going to pull in from all your meetings, all your emails, all your messages, all your files, and they see that it works. It's kind of magic for a lot of folks. We're like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. I'll give you a really good example of how this magic works. So there's a large streaming company that has offices in Tokyo, that has office in Paris, and office in Los Angeles. They have product managers, hundreds of them, that are going out and actually interviewing customers in their native language. So Japanese, they're speaking in French, they're speaking in English. What happened with those product managers was they would take all that information and they would share it with their country team, but they wouldn't actually share it globally across the board. So what happened there was all of a sudden someone in Paris might say, hey, I really don't like this feature, I'm going to cancel because of it. And they might say like, it's only one person, it doesn't matter. But did you actually know that 75% of people in Japan don't want that feature either and they're going to cancel? Did you know 50% of people in the US and Los Angeles want to cancel because they don't like that feature? All of a sudden, regardless of language, time zones, teams, the AI is able to go in and say, hey, we've centralized all this data, and here's the feedback. It's not isolated, but it's a broader audience. So now they're able to go in and take action across the entire global footprint of product managers.
Oh, wow. Do you see also with all the data that now you're compiling, like a lot of trends that you go back to the companies and you help them like make their company run better? I mean, one of the main streams of this discussion is, okay, it's not only the meeting data that you have, it's not the meeting intelligence, it's how you actually turn it into action.
Yes.
So how do you turn it into action? Does that mean that you take the data points and you go back to them, or it also means that it helps me actually make the actionable insights, that's the list of the do's, and I'm going to go and execute them?
Yeah, so a great example is you and I have talked a few times. We've had a panel together. It actually, Ada went in and pulled all the notes that it had available, the conversations, the emails, the meetings, and it actually said, here's what you need to do to get ready for this conference and Panathēnea, and actually these are the talking points that you want to hit on. So it's making it actionable because it's taking all that data, that things that I forgot, because AI remembers everything, and it can go in and say, hey, remember to bring this point up, this thing just launched, your team in the US wanted to announce this thing, so make sure you hit on this, and it gives me all of that information. A more common use case would be like Salesforce or HubSpot, where salespeople have a lot of meetings, they don't want to update their CRM system. It's actually a big waste of time for them because they want to be an out-market selling. So what we've done is we've actually gone in and said, hey, here's a recommendation. You should move this opportunity from 50% to 75% based on these reasons. And it includes not just your interactions, but the customer service team, the client success team, and all that information, the product team. And it will go in and say, move it to 75%, and the user can decide if they want to do that or not. So what we're really seeing this move is from this enterprise work, this white collar work, is really becoming more like TikTok meets Tinder, where the AI is actually pushing content to you based on what you've been working on, based on what you've been interested in. And then it's going in and saying, do you want to make a decision? Do you want to swipe right or swipe left? And if you swipe right, it's going to fill in that information for you. And the human's still important because they're going in and saying, this isn't the right context. I know this person actually doesn't like to talk about this as much, so I'm going to pull this out. And you can make adjustments. But it's this person that thinks like you or like your team does, which I think is very valuable.
So basically, it's not only about the transcripts, but also trying to understand like beyond what is said, but what like people prefer to do and how they prefer to do things.
Absolutely. So there are certain people where if you get an email from them, you will respond in 5 minutes right away. There are people that you will respond 24 hours later to. Ada and Reed is able to actually go in and understand who are the most important people to you. So imagine if you're on a call and you nod your head like you're doing right now. That's saying, oh, we interacted, you like what I'm talking about, you send me an email, I respond very quickly. This person is important to you, no matter what context that you have. This person is important to you versus like this other person isn't as much. So Ada can go in and actually prioritize what is the most important thing to you. And that's really helpful when you get a deluge of emails like I'm sure you do.
Yes. I think everybody does it. And I think what you said with the Monday blues is spot on. I guess like one last question or maybe two questions. Well, like how do you see now the future of work? Like where can we expect this to go in the next 5 years? Like what would be the ideal scenario for you?
Yeah, the ideal scenario is you go in to work, you connect all the different sources that you have when it comes to data, and then it automatically starts to learn what you're doing. So think of it like an intern initially, an entry-level employee. And it's going in and figuring out what is important to you. And you're like, okay, this is good. The more information that you give it, the more that you interact with it, the smarter it gets. So it's able to go in and say, hey, this is important to you. This is how you would address this topic. Let me create a PDF. Let me create a PowerPoint for you. All of those things will start to happen. And you might be worried like, okay, that sounds a lot like AI taking away my job. But what it requires is the training data of you making those decisions. So if you said, hey, I got fired, I don't have a job anymore, the AI will still do the same thing? It will, but it will slowly decay. That's why people come out with new models, because there's training data available. So they're going in and saying, if I lose my job, that model can't train off of how I decide anymore, so it's going to get progressively worse across time. So with Reed, you're able to go and say, hey, I'm constantly training it. So 6 months ago, maybe I wouldn't have responded to that email, but now it's very important to me that I will follow up. When someone asks me a question now, I can go in and say, hey, do I need to follow up on this? And I think also it's about those nudges. So it's not Reed going in and saying, hey, I'm going to send that email automatically. We very much believe there needs to be a human in the loop. And what that means is when Reed goes in and says, it's not scheduling a meeting, but something more important, like let's say something sensitive, it's going to go in and say, here's my proposed response. Is it okay if I send this out? So it's not like OpenCloud that it just runs wild. It's going in and saying, let me try to give you the best possible answer. If you don't like it, let's work together to get a better answer, and then I can send it out on your behalf.
Nice. And last, because I can't like help myself, how did Reed change the way you work?
Oh, that's a good one. So Reed's let me go to more conferences. So, we met in, was it Lisbon?
Yes.
Yeah. We met in Lisbon at Web Summit. I've been on the road for the last 6 weeks across different conferences, Canada, US, Greece. I'm going to Brazil in a week and then Berlin after that. And the reason why that's worked, as a CEO of a company where we've raised $81 million, we're worth $450 million, like you would think I would have to be in the office all day. What really we've been able to do is, over the last 4 years, my training data has now let my team interact with Ada to keep things moving forward, to get projects progressing forward. And I think that's really the benefit. And I think what you're going to see over time, too, is you're going to see AI, specifically an AI assistant, as a human right. And what that means is every single person in the world is going to want to have AI. And the reason why is if you think about internet access today, if you said internet access is a human right, everyone would say probably, yeah, that makes sense. That seems reasonable. If you asked them 10 or 15 years ago, they'd say, like, why do you need internet access? Why is email important? I think you're going to see the same thing with AI, because companies and cultures and countries that do not embrace AI are going to run into the issue of not being able to actually catch up, to being a material disadvantage.
Well, thank you very much, David. Please welcome me too.
Thank you.
Yes.